Hello again. This is kind of an add-on to last night's broadcast about Navalny. Today I was thinking a little bit about abuse and bullying. I'm a teacher at school, and we have to do a lot of professional development and training on being able to recognize abuse and how to deal with abuse and bullying and things such as that. And certain things dawned on me today when I was thinking about the characteristics of what, for example, bullying would be. You have some type of repetitive action when there's an unfair advantage. You're basically striking fear in the heart of somebody who's being abused. It's a terrible thing, and we all know that. And some people are resilient and can deal with it, and others, quite the opposite can happen. And it's a very difficult thing to deal with. And how this relates to last night's video, I think has to do with, again, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, so I don't plead any special knowledge whatsoever about this. This is just something that I've been kind of working through in my head. But it seems to me that abuse can be done at a national level, especially when you're dealing with things like propaganda. We know what happened in Germany with Joseph Goebbels. But if we look at what's happened in Russia, you essentially have a ruling government which rules out of fear. I mean, it makes people scared. And it, to me, is a form of abuse, especially when you control the military, you control the media, when you control the police, when you control the courts. There is no end to your advantage, your unfair advantage over those in whom you strike this fear. And my wife and I have been trying to come to grips with the last 6 years or so, dealing with Trump and MAGA, and how there's this malaise. It's even more than a malaise. We're certainly not alone. I'm sure that you would join me in this, that it's become very, very depressing to deal with the changes that have occurred in this country. And now looking at it, I see it as a form of abuse, not quite to the level that the Russians have, which is an everyday thing, obviously. But it is there here. And looking at the Trumpists, so to speak, the MAGA crowd, they don't, at this point, have control of, the army. They don't have complete control of the media like they do in Russia. But their attempts in the last 6 years have caused this, I don't want to say fear, but there is a foreboding feeling that we could fall into this autocratic nation and therefore become much like Russia. So I think it's important that although we shouldn't act like we're being bullied, although we kind of are being bullied, but we, as a group, or any group for that matter, trying to deal with the MAGA crowd and the untenable situation we have with the Republican Party, we are going to have to fight this thing, just like you'd have to fight a bully, because what we are dealing with is essentially abuse. In some states, it's worse than others. I mean, if you live in a red state and you are a liberal, you may have that feeling that maybe a Russian would have. Like there's nothing that you can do, that you just have to simply live in fear. And we have really of a choice. I mean, we are either going to live in fear or live in hope. And I know which side I want to be on. And this is why Divided We Stand, I think, is so important, because it helps us build a resiliency, especially if the Republicans should regain control. But it's something you have to fight for, because again, I am not a psychiatrist, I am not a psychologist, but my intuition tells me that this is abuse, and it's abuse because you and I mean you, the plural you, we feel this, the frustration, the foreboding that something could happen in the future, and it certainly could. And it's not something that we individually can handle, no more than a child suffering some type of abuse, of bullying, or whatever, child neglect, that kind of thing. We have to be resilient, and that means we have to stick together. We have to be able to speak out, and we have to have. I don't really like this word hope, but there has to be. If you have to choose between hope and fear, you certainly want to choose hope. But you have to actively get involved, and you have to try to do something. And this is why David and I, we really appreciate what all of you are doing. That you take part in this. It's a safe haven for us. But it's more than that. It's a way of building resiliency, because if my intuition is correct, this is abuse at a national scale, and we certainly don't want this to turn into a Russia, and it's very, very close to that. So Russia represents the model that we have to, I don't say fear, but we have to fight against, because that could happen here. So yeah, I think that's pretty much how I want to keep it tonight. Add to last night's broadcast. Thank you, and see you next time.